another weekly space with IONET. Today we have alphanetwork on to talk about the recent collaboration that we have put together. As always, we have our regular guest, our CTO, Garth. Hi, Garth.
Hello, sir. I'm audible.
Yep, can hear you fine. And then our Chief Business Development Officer, Steve. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey guys.
All
Hey,
right.
I'm good. How are you?
So, as always, we'll start with a couple of community questions and then go right into the collaboration and questions for Alpha Network and for IAO. The first community question that will that's asked is, what is the main IO goal for Q1?
There are many actually. So the first thing is provide more cloud offerings. We're working on that. We're working on the Kubernetes side to be given as a product. We are working on IO intelligence, as we said. I think we discussed about it some time back, where there are a lot of open source models which exist outside, which these lot of builders in the Web 2 side and Web 3 side also have built is lying there, but nobody has incentive to give those models be accessed by people because they'll not earn money from it. But because we have this huge inventory of GPUs and we want to enable the builders and the normal community users, so we're creating a IO intelligence product in phase one, where on our GPUs we'll deploy these hundreds of models going forward for free to be accessed by users till a certain limit, and beyond that, obviously, we'll charge. But till a very good limit, we will give these models uh, to the users and the community users going forward. You will see crypto models, you will see healthcare models, you will see language models, a huge variety of models going forward on the IO platform. That is there. Uh, the marketing team will kill me. There are a lot of other things also. We're going to launch it in Q1 itself, but I think we need to frame those products in a better way in a language to be said. So I don't want to share and like make my marketing team my enemy, but there are some other big projects also which we are launching in Q1. Other than that, obviously we're working on staking phase one, phase two, both will be launched. Phase one, as you all are aware, that we're creating a marketplace where people can create and make a bid at the supplier that how much help they need for staking, and they can also create as a part of the bid that how much revenue or like the tokens which they earn as incentive they are willing to share as a part of that help. That's the first staking phase one. Staking phase two, we are building in parallel. The tech is being built, but the numbers are still being decided. So what we are doing is we are creating what we call it as you can say a pool of rewards, which we'll take a percentage away from CPUs and percentage away from GPUs. We'll create a central pool of these incentives, and people can come and stake their IOs, and they'll get rewards as staking from this pool, which we'll take percentage from our GPU and CPU. Now, what the percentage would be, we haven't decided. That is still being worked on. There are a few different challenges on that because we are working on getting some H200s on the platform. We are also working on obviously enabling M4 chips, M4 CPUs on the platform. And the moment we do that, what will be the impact on the rewards? That's still being like literally analyzed by our data team. Once that all piece is done, then we can decide how much percentage we'll take away from CPUs, how much from GPUs, and and then how and what the numbers for the staking phase two will look like. As a tech product, we're already building it, but what numbers to feed, that is still to be decided. So these are, I think, main products which we're doing. So again, I'll repeat: new cloud offerings, Kubernetes, staking phase one and phase two. There is also IO intelligence, which I said we are launching, and yes, obviously TNE on chain. So TNE on chain, we have something like which was supposed to be launched in Q4. We missed it because of multiple things. One thing was obviously the security reviews took a long time. Guys, like, I know it's not a good enough justification as a team, but honestly, for these reviews, we are dependent on external auditors to review it. They're not part of our own company. Uh, they just literally went out on vacation at the end of the year. They came back, they gave the feedback, we fixed it. They're again reviewing it. That took a bit of time. I think these are predominantly the main products we'll be launching. Yes, and one more which I missed, the notification system. That is something which we have started now building it. That was part of the Q4, but we got some customer request of like prioritizing IO intelligence a bit more compared to the notification system. So we started working on it, but it got derailed. So that is something which we'll also deliver very soon. So these are the main products which you will be seeing this quarter rolling out, which are known. Other than this, there are few other big projects also, but please wait for it. That will come from the marketing team first, very soon.
And speaking of all these goals, questions from the community about a roadmap coming up.
Yes, so we are already building a documentation for it of whatever we have I have said, and the other project which I have not explained right now. So we'll actually create a page of combination of both, and it will be shared soon. So the product and documentation team is already working on it in parallel.
Great. So TLDR is a lot of exciting initiatives coming up for Q1, and stay tuned on our channel and our website for more info.
Like,
I have
like
one more.
honestly,
Yeah,
sorry, Jake, cutting you short,
please.
but honestly, we saw some DePINs recently sharing the roadmaps, some other data projects in the crypto space also sharing their like yearly roadmaps. And honestly, like you will see when we'll share whatever they're doing it in the year, we're literally doing within a quarter of those things. And there are a lot of exciting projects which are coming in next 3 months itself. And if I talk about 6 months, I don't want to expose it now because we normally talk to our customers what they want. So I still want this quarter to be finished and get the feedback of all the products we launched. And depending on that, we'll prioritize the next quarter. But the products we have in plans in next 3 to 4 months itself is basically the roadmap of other companies for a year. A lot of exciting stuff coming in.
So lots of initiatives coming and coming quickly. Would be the TLDR. I have one final community question, which is, what advice would you offer to aspiring workers want to get on the network?
So I think we are starting to add. I think very soon, very some M4s. So be ready with that. Obviously, when we add M4, we're making a decision that if we have to remove any hardware, if we have to, which it looks like because we'll create a staking pool also. Most probably directionally, it looks like we haven't made a decision like as a network yet, but the data would tell, and we are analyzing that. Once that happens, people who will, if in the worst case, be getting exited because of the respective hardware being prioritized, which is like moving to M4, and if any other lower hardwares need to be moved out of the network, at that time they'll get the priority. So I'll say be ready with M4s, and very soon there'll be some other CPUs also which we would need as a network because one good thing we have seen as a business is that we have predominantly focused on GPUs in past, but there's a huge demand incoming for CPUs now. There will be a lot of CPUs needed in future, so please be ready with that. Make sure that your network is good. A lot of the players who are being impacted for not able to get in the network as a part of the testing is because their network speed is either not good or flaky. Uh, so that is not uh, good if you want to be adding workers to the network because when we approach these enterprise players and they want to consume the hardware, they're just not looking for the hardware, they're also looking how good the connectivity they have with this hardware also. So it's a very very important factor also. And the third thing is that please keep these hardware running and don't run your personal jobs there, because there are some parties who are at fault at this, and unfortunately they were flagged as a network and they were moved out. So just please keep these three things clean, which is your your network should be good, your internet speed should be good, and the usage of CPU, GPU, don't use it for personal purposes when you're bringing it as part of the network. And like, yeah, the third one was be ready with the CPUs, especially M4s if somebody has, because they will be coming very, very soon as a part of the network.
Great. Thank you so much for those answers. As always, if you have questions that you want to ask the IO team, please join our Discord and ask your questions, and they will be submitted for answering. Switching gears to talk about the collaboration with Alpha Network. Let's start with a brief summary of what Alpha Network is and has done, um, and go from there.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm the founder of Alpha Network. I'm Danny. So let me introduce Alpha Network like briefly. So we are the world's first decentralized AI data execution layer for Web3, dedicated to a advancing like blockchain adoption, like addressing AI data scarcity, and delivering a seamless Web3 experience, like one-stop Web3 experience powered by AI to users' experience. So we are incubated by a Japanese company called Keika Labs, which is also our previous name of the project. So we also have a product that is already delivered called Alpha OS, which is a cross-platform AI-enhanced Web3 native operating system. So through our product, Alpha OS, users can easily access those real-time Web3 data, performing cross-chain transactions or swap any DeFi transactions, and receive like personalized token recommendations through our token recommendation agent built on the product. So all powered by simple natural language commands. And now we are committed to build it like continuously, enhance the Alpha OS capabilities and scalabilities about data privacy and also computing power with IO's partnerships. So for this partnership, we are mainly we use the iOS GPUs to so we to evolve our capabilities on enhancing the user experience about the data scarcity. So the main aim of this collaboration is to combine the strengths of our privacy technologies with iOS GPU infrastructure. So to create a robust, secure environment for AI and Web3 applications. Together, we are addressing some of the key challenges that developers face today, and we are aiming to solve those challenges through this collaboration.
Great, thanks for that. Let's start with the genesis of this collaboration. How did it come apart? What were both parties looking for? Tassif, I'll start for you with you on the IO end, and then Danny come in to talk about what you were looking for and how IO helped fit that need.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to jump in here. So as Danny mentioned, we originally got introduced to Danny and the team at Alpha Network through sort of their incubation, like parent company, Kekai Labs, who we have a connection with. So once we met Danny and kind of better understood sort of the mission of what they were building and kind of had a chance to better understand where Alpha Network was really focusing on with their data execution layer and sort of how they were building sort of this privacy preserving infrastructure for the future of AI and AI agents. We also had a chance to kind of look at and play around with Alpha OS, which Danny just talked about, and we're really impressed by the slick product experience there. And we saw the opportunity to really support a really incredible, consumer first like AI agents, or like an AI project that was really focused on Web3 native roots and building on top of, sort of like a decentralized ethos. So we work with alphanetwork to essentially kind of scope out exactly what they would need in terms of the compute side, kind of really understanding what they're building for in the future with their roadmap, and kind of understanding the scale of what they're building and scoping out exactly how much compute they would need. And after we were able to kind of pull that together and really sort of envision the solution, we got this partnership off the ground. And now I believe Alpha Network is already using GPUs from IONECT and scaling that way.
And then over to you, Danny. What were you looking for that IO provided, and how has it been going so far?
Sorry, I was muting. Everything goes well, and so we would like to really admit that as using of IO's decentralized like the GPU infrastructure, we really it really empower our workflow, and pretty much like growing our efficiency of our work. Yep.
Great. There's something, Danny, that you had mentioned when describing Alpha Network that I want to double click on. When you had mentioned issues that developers are facing and how Alpha Network is solving them, if you could explain what you've noticed as specific challenges that are happening now, and ones that you think are growing, or ones that are coming up soon for devs in the space.
Okay. Yeah. So there are pretty much like problems or challenges that the industries and developers are facing. One of it is called data scarcity. So developers often struggle to access like high quality, diverse data sets, essential for training advanced like AI models. Like those good models are trained with high quality data sets. And centralized platforms are increasingly restrictive, and they are limiting their data availability. And also, everybody knows that computational bottlenecks. So, like high performance, like computing resources are extremely expensive and monopolized by those few centralized providers. Everybody knows, and creating barriers for smaller developers and projects. And believe this is solved by this is what IO.NET is solving that. And also like data privacy concerns, as AI applications growing, ensuring data confidentially and compliance with privacy regulations becomes more challenging. And traditional methods often expose those sensitive information with the traditional ways of how to execute data, how to deal with the data. And the final one is I would like to say the synthetic data risk. So there are absolutely over reliance on synthetic data which leads to a phenomenon that like model collapse, where AI systems lose their ability to generalize effectively, compromising performance and reliability. So the key problem that we are solving, or we are mainly looking at, is actually the data scarcity. So the scarcity of high quality training data. So many developers rely on synthetic data like I said, or limited data sets like public in the world, which lead to this suboptimal model performance, or even like the phenomenon like model collapse. So we tackled this issue by enabling developers to access and contribute to decentralized data sets that are secure and privacy preserving through our decentralized data crawler protocol, collected by our millions of nodes that works for like collecting data for us, like our users. So yeah.
Picking up on the idea of privacy preserving, Tasif, I know that you've talked on previous spaces about speaking to people in the space about the importance of it. Why do you see this as a key issue in the conversations that you're having?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so
Yeah,
go
go
for it,
ahead.
Danny.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, just a quick thing on this. Yeah, so Jake, as you mentioned, these are privacy around data is something that comes up quite a lot in a number of our conversations with customers and partners, especially those who are looking to use our decentralized GPU infrastructure for sort of like production workloads and their computational needs. One thing that sort of like stands out all the time is a lot of our customers have typically been used to centralized infrastructure for their computation needs, right? So whether it's with a AWS or a Google Cloud or Lambda or someone like that, and when you have centralized infrastructure, it is really easy to, or it's a lot less complicated. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a lot less complicated to secure that data because you have full control over the physical location of the GPUs, of the storage drives, things like that. And when you are working with folks in highly regulated industries that have very strict compliance requirements like finance or healthcare and things like that, that's something that they, really need assurance on when making a decision of where to go with their compute. So when we come in as IONET with our decentralized infrastructure sort of value prop, a lot of the conversation immediately kind of goes to how exactly we're going to ensure that our customers' compute workloads are secure, especially when doing it in a decentralized manner. So I think it's a solution that will continue to evolve, but I think that's also what makes this privacy-focused approach that Danny was talking about from Alpha Network as well, like really, really interesting, right? Like now with sort of various computational ways to do it in terms of like zero knowledge proofs or like fully homomorphic encryption and things like that. I think we can bring a lot of these like robust encryption tools, privacy preserving computation techniques to the workloads that our customers are bringing in production into our decentralized environment. And I think sort of like this focus on security and trust really kind of ensures that a lot of these Web2 customers or customers in highly regulated industries who might not have looked at a decentralized solution in the past, it'll enable them to be more comfortable with what we're offering and will bring them into the Web3 world in the future.
Danny, was there something you wanted to add to that?
No, it's actually not. Pretty much enough and pretty good.
Yeah. Let me ask both of you, the idea of privacy first and privacy protection in decentralized systems makes sense as Tas put from regulated industries and use cases. How does this relate to where we've seen growth in the space, if at all, with AI agents, DEFAI, really in the Web3 space by itself? Is that the same sort of needs, or is this more just promoting the ethos of privacy that is part of what we do in Web3?
I can start off on that. So I think, yeah, this is kind of like an interesting moment to have this conversation, because obviously, AI agents and especially DFAI, I'm still not sure how to actually say it, but yeah, DeFi with AI agents is really having its moment and sort of becoming front and center in sort of the Web3 conversation and narrative. And I think something that I haven't seen a lot of people actually talk about is the privacy and security aspect of DFAI infrastructure, right? So I think a lot of focus has been on sort of the UX and UI improvements, because I think any of us on this space who've tried to engage with DeFi before and have tried to, do like liquidity provisioning or bridge to other chains and things like that, it can get pretty complicated pretty quickly. And the UI definitely leaves a lot to be desired when trying to use a bunch of different wallets and bridges. So I think introducing sort of like a natural language interface as an AI agent makes a ton of sense. But I think the other aspect of it, which, I think I don't think there's been any sort of like considered or anything like that so far, but I think people will, of course, kind of obviously ask when interacting with sort of that additional layer of an AI agent. It's like, how do I know that this AI agent is secure? And how do I know that the transactions are private? And just sort of a variety of things that any rational user would want answers to when it comes to actually dealing with your wallet, your keys, your your balance of coins and things like that. And I think especially for sort of like larger traders who are moving, sort of like positions in size, like trying to avoid like copy trading and things like that. I think it becomes more and more important. So I think as DFAI becomes more widely adopted, as sort of like the natural interface for people to interact with DeFi protocols and tools, we'll start to get a lot more. We'll start to see a lot more conversation happening around how exactly we ensure privacy through these AI agents when it comes to dealing with people's sort of token balances and wallets and executing on their behalf as well. So, I think a lot of these techniques that we're talking about, with sort of zero knowledge proofs and things like that, will start to become more prominent as DFAI becomes more widely distributed.
And for you, Danny, you had mentioned, developer challenges, including security and privacy. What are the specific use cases that Alpha Network is hearing from devs and what they're building and how this relates to it?
Yeah, thanks. So as we are definitely like recently, we are being what's so-called DFAI. Actually, this is the first time I heard how to rate this word. So the main problem is AI do make the mistake, and while they processing our transactions, or while they are understanding what users are saying, like what they want to do. Let's say if I want to trade one like let's say with like on Solana, there are like many widths fake tokens on Solana as well. So how do AI like understands which token is our is the main token, or the tokens that users want to trade it with? So they would make mistake if they are not well trained, and also like if the data privacy, or while they are trained, while the AI agent and models were trained, if there's some like those data that we don't want they train with, like those fake or bad data. If they were, they will it will definitely cause some problems, like while they processing the transactions, especially for those money flow on this swapping transactions or bridging that will cause a big problem if there's no regulations or data privacy protection tool. And so what we are like building with this part is actually we limited we limit the transactions or the actions that user can do on our DFAI tool Alpha OS to limit the risk that user can face on, and so far like there's no definitely no mistake that we made like so far, but this part should definitely be being noticed and to be enhanced for a better user experience. But most importantly, this is a thing that's about how money goes and goes and comes. So we should definitely take care of it.
I think to see if you would put in our last community space that the last thing people want is hallucinations regarding wallets. Do you, both of you think that in terms of privacy first, this is something that is getting the right amount of attention, is getting less attention that's needed, or is potentially getting too much attention at this point when working with devs or projects or use cases?
I definitely think it's something that's not getting enough attention, right? And I think that's something that's always true about privacy and security when talking about development of any sort of application, whether it's Web3 or AI or anything even in the Web2 space, right? I think it's something that a lot of people feel you can kind of do the bare minimum and make it work to get things to market quickly. But I think as history has shown, it's an area where you can often have the most vulnerabilities that can take down even sort of like the biggest corporations, and it's something that only in hindsight a lot of people realize that enough attention wasn't paid to. So I think to bring that conversation back to sort of like the AI agent space. I think with AI agents in particular, the narrative is so new and the space is so exciting, and there's a lot of experimentation happening just in terms of what these AI agents can do, what sort of products they can be integrated into, how users and customers are actually using them, and finding out like innovative ways to do that and take advantage of these AI agents. There's all this experimentation happening that is very new and shiny, and I think of course it makes sense because it is new and shiny. I think that aspect of the conversation has been kind of like dominating it more, right? And in similar to sort of like what I said previously, in terms of a lot of the talk has been around the UI UX of these agents as well and how customers use them. But I think the other aspect of it that just hasn't been getting a lot of love is sort of like the privacy and security aspect of these agents. And I think primarily first because there hasn't been anything bad that has happened so far, but that doesn't mean that something might not occur in the future, right? I think when we hear of the first like potential hack for a DFI agent or a AI hallucinating and accidentally sending a user's like entire wallet balance to some other wallet or just burning it or something like that, until we see sort of like an incident like that, I think a lot of people won't necessarily think about it as much. And I think when we kind of get the first inkling of that, we'll see the conversation really start to pick up and people asking a lot more questions on how these AI agents are actually performing their tasks, what kind of inference proofs they're actually doing, whether they're hallucinating or not, and essentially just kind of like making sure that customers are fully assured that when using an AI agent, their transactions are going to happen in the most secure way possible.
And then Danny, over to you, the same question, and I want to add a little bit to it. what should developers be thinking of in a security and privacy compliant first mode, and what is the due diligence that users should be looking for when choosing particular projects to work with?
Yeah. So for this question, I would not rather like answer like how users can do like due diligence for a certain product, but I would like to say how I would like to like predict how the market would go like in the near future. As all we know, like in the Web3 field, like we have code audit services, like as we were doing, we were also doing security audit services like before we were doing AI, and as um, as like we all know, like say when we publish our smart contract to the blockchain, so we used to do the code audit to ensure like there's no certain problems about the code and no backdoors that people can use, like hackers can use to store your wallet. And but we never heard like AI project or an AI agent has done certain code audit services, or they have done like any security enhancing like process. So this is the problem, like what we are facing. Like we don't actually know what the black box, what inside of the black box that they are processing with, what models they are using, what agent flow, what workflow are the agents are using. And so this is a problem that we cannot do due diligence for them. But I would rather say like if so we had like the code audit services for smart contract. So probably in the near future, like we're gonna have a code audit services or audit service for AI as well. So so at that time, like we can do due diligence to see like if there's a code audit or audit report for a certain AI agent or product, and we will see like they're probably like relatively safe, or so probably can do like transaction with this like DFAI product. Yeah, but like so far, I mean, like the methods of doing due diligence is really limited and restricted.
Speaking of, I think this has been briefly touched upon. Maybe you could, Danny, give us a deep dive about how Alpha Network supports privacy and security through the AI lifecycle.
Yeah. So yes, as Todd mentioned as well, like we use like ZKP to encrypt the data proof, the data ownership of of every transaction we collected from the data nodes from users, and to ensure the privacy and security of this process. And we use like enhanced data storage protocol as well, like made by us, to ensure that the data won't be goes to elsewhere when it is storage it is stored on our protocols. And as we're doing security product before we rebranded to AI. So we care really much about the transaction security while users are doing their transactions. So we do transaction simulation every transaction that you cause from our portal of AI. So let's say if you do a let's say with swap to sold transactions, we will do a transaction simulation and test the with smart contract to see if there are enough liquidity, to see if there's any like honeypot backdoors inside of the contract code. So we do every time you do a transaction, we do the security check and simulations to ensure like the not only the AI part but also like the transaction part to be secure enough.
Fantastic. I want to flip the question of security and privacy to IO's vision. You've talked in the past about what is the longer term vision of IO and how the partnerships that we have help move that forward. Could you specifically talk about how Alpha Network supports that overall vision?
Yeah, I think Danny just hit the nail on the head, right? With what he was talking about in terms of how Alpha Network approaches privacy with zero knowledge proof computations and things like that, right? So I think with how we view it at IO, at the end of the day, we're sort of the foundational layer of compute that's powering a lot of, a variety of different workloads, whether it's AI, ML, VR, AR, autonomous driving, like what have you, sort of a variety of different use cases. And I think there's a whole ecosystem of decentralized AI projects who are approaching the overall vision of how we actually decentralize the AI tech stack and are building in a variety of different sort of subsectors of that, right? So I think in the past we've talked about things like, like data and other aspects of, like proof of inference and things like that. I think another major subsector of the DAI ecosystem is privacy and security, right? Especially when you're talking about decentralized protocols. And I think when you're trying to approach how do you introduce privacy and security into a decentralized protocol without making the approach itself be sort of another, centralized authority auditing each piece of the protocol to make sure it's secure or private. And I think that is particularly answered by exactly what Danny mentioned in terms of looking at these cutting edge technologies like zero knowledge proofs and encryption technologies like fully homomorphic encryption or TEE, which is another tech that's being used a lot in AI agents today. So I think when we kind of look at that broader vision of how IO approaches it, I think we want to partner with a variety of other projects who are building cutting edge and innovative tech in privacy and security and figure out the best way to pull in the great work that they're doing into the IO ecosystem and ensuring that we can provide a sort of more comprehensive suite of offerings and tools and solutions to our customers or partners or developers who actually want to build off of these platforms for a decentralized AI future.
And Danny, conversely, with Alpha Network's long-term vision, how does this partnership? You've talked briefly about it, but I'd love to hear about how the partnership with IO works with Alpha Network's long-term vision and part of what it's trying to build and where it's going to go.
We're definitely seeking for more like deeply collaborations and also like the synergies that we can do with IO. But recently we are focusing on our product development, while IO provides really a good infrastructure of GPU that we are using and provide directly to user end with a good efficiency of user experience. And like in the future, we definitely want to we have few like product launch and also testnet launch plan for our project, and we definitely want to use like deeply dig into like other features that I'll providing to enhance our like computing powers part and also our like directly enhance our user experience by using the IO's product and services. and reversely, we want to we want to provide like high quality data access if there's any needs for from our ecosystem partner and our customers that could use our like high quality data set, and also like doing making a like any needs for the FAI tools to providing the infrastructure of like user and the FAI experience.
Let me ask both of you. You're at the forefront of a space that's constantly evolving. What's been getting you excited recently in the space? Doesn't necessarily have to be with partnership. Doesn't have to necessarily be with what you're building. We'll get to that in just a moment. But what's exciting you in the space this week?
Yeah, so I can kind of jump in. So I think there's a few different things that are pretty exciting as always, when in this space because it moves so quickly. I think to kind of step out of, there's been a lot of like great uh, Web3 projects that have like pushed some like new launches forward that I'm pretty excited about. But I think just to take a step back outside of our Web3 world and kind of look at the broader AI ML community and all the really interesting research that's being done to push things forward. I think one of the things that stood out to me was a launch announcement from a research lab out of Tokyo called Sakana AI. I believe they announced this yesterday, but they just launched a new type of approach to transformers and models. I think they called it Transformer Squared, but I think the really interesting thing about this was they essentially created a model that could change its own weights based on what it was trying to answer and what it was trying to output, which is kind of almost like like a mind-bogglingly revolutionary approach to how we think about LLMs and transformers. So for those who are unfamiliar, when we kind of talk about weights for models, there's specific values that are set in these matrices for these models. And every time you're kind of like training it or fine tuning it, a lot of it actually involves sort of setting the weights and biases of these models to be able to, you know, ensure that it answers or provides the right outputs based on the inputs for what developers are actually trying to do with it. So I think actually having a model itself be able to change its own weights on the fly, depending on what it needs to sort of analyze and what it needs to output, kind of almost takes it to kind of a whole other level of flexibility and design in terms of what we'll see LLMs and AI models and AI agents be able to do in the future when it comes to sort of reasoning and approach to sort of human inputs.
And Danny, for you, what's getting you excited in the space this week?
Well, yeah. So knowing like from the first time, like when I get into this space, like I heard a lot of not like the report, but explanations about like what IO is doing, like in the past weeks and in the future. Kind of like talking to you guys' users and community members. So I think this really make me excited about how you guys like talking to the users and reporting those progresses, like what iOS has done like in the past week, and I think that we will probably do this as well and reporting our we had done report for product progress like through Twiz, posting the next post, but yeah, probably this way would be better for us, like to make it. And then we see like this as a listed product attitude for taking responsibility for their users, and which is also like what we have to study for.
Great. And then to close out, just if anyone wants to get in contact and start working either on Alpha Network or for IO, what's the best way to do that? Steve, I'll start with you. You had recently posted about DMing you if interested in working with the BD team. Is there any other way that people should be contacting IO?
Yeah, so obviously, any developer or any startup is free to use our GPUs in our permissionless sort of like self-service IONet cloud for their AI model dev purposes. I think as your workloads get more complicated or your needs become more sort of particular, as I mentioned, feel free to DM me on Twitter, reach out to me on LinkedIn, email me at tassif@io.net, or if you'd also like to do it through the website, we have a request for managed services option on our IONet cloud as well. So if you don't see exactly what you need on the cloud platform, please feel free to reach out to the BD team through the link on the website as well, and we will get back to you within a few hours. So yeah, multiple ways to get in touch with us. So happy to help any developers in need.
And then Danny, where can devs start to work with Alpha Network?
I'm sorry, pardon. Sorry, my network wasn't going good.
No worries. So devs that are interested in utilizing Alpha Network, what's their first step that they should be taking?
Well, yeah. So our product is live on mainnet as well. So you can probably go to our website, alphaos.net, and try our AI portal, trying to connect your wallet and do some transactions like using natural language. And we also providing recently. This is actually in, but we're gonna have another one, like the point boosting system. So if you do like trading transactions on our portal, we're gonna offer you a 1.5 times of points, which regarded to our as receiving our future airdrop. And also for dev, we if there's any devs that want to communicate with us, like can probably send an email to support@alphaos.net to connect with us, and for building the FO AI product or any agents together, and projects as well.
Great. I'd just like to thank our guests for participating, our IO Nation for giving community questions, and of course, all of our listeners for tuning in. Be sure to check in with us next Wednesday, same time, for our next space. Thank you both very much, and everyone, good luck in the rest of your day in this space.
Thanks all. Take care.